All right, we're back with another Pick'em video. It is Tuesday, February 3rd in the NBA. We got a 10-game slate, so big slate. And I got a whole bunch of plays that I'm liking and going to dive through with you guys. So if that sounds cool, stay tuned. We're going to do the recap first, then we'll hop into the plays for today, and then I'll get you guys on your way. And after 7 straight winning days, we came back down to earth. Minus 1.59 units yesterday. It was bound to happen at some point. I'm not going to win every single day. The crazy run that we had been on was awesome, but now the run's over. We're going to start clean, and we'll start from here. We'll do the recap real quick. Benedict Mathurin over 4.5 rebounds. He ended on 4. I don't hate the read. He had 34 minutes. That was kind of the most, parts of that. I didn't attack his points. I didn't attack his assists. It was a tough, matchup for that. But he did really well in scoring. He went over his points line. He went over his assist line. And then again, just ends on 4 rebounds. Unfortunate there. 0.75 units. The other 0.75 unit play in that game was Reed Shepherd over 14.5 points. He had 11 in the first half. Played 9 minutes in the third quarter, shot 0 of 5 or something, and Ime Udoka said, I'm good on that. And we didn't see Reed Shepherd for the rest of the game. So that game was a wash. Ended up losing both the plays on there. But moving on to Rudy Gobert, another loss here. He had 7 points and 10 rebounds, so he did not get to the points. And this was a bad read overall. Now, we were hoping that, there's 3 guys on the injury report that were important for this play. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, and Jaren Jackson Jr. for the Grizzlies. All of them ended up playing, which I didn't love, but I'm sure you guys saw later on in the day when all those guys got ruled in. The double-double went to like a plus 130 or plus 135. So we got bad CLV on that, but there's always a chance. And with Ty Jerome back with the Grizzlies, they play so much faster, and Rudy Gobert got played right off the court. He only played 25 minutes in this game, and he was horrible in that time on the court. So he got played off the court. It was too quick for him. And again, was it a good read in the moment? Probably. We had some potential for some injuries. Then all of them played. And then, with Ty Jerome back, horrible read, in hindsight here. But we did have one winner. Tyrese Maxey came through for us. He almost had 30 points, 29 points. So wherever he got this thing, he cashed out minus 110. And he makes it, he saves the day right at the end there. He's the last guy. So hopefully Maxey took that good vibes, those good reads, and brings that momentum back into today. Again, we're on an absolute killer streak. For the entire year, we're up 21.54 units. January was awesome. And by the way, we're actually up in February. There's only 2 days, but we're up 0.07 units. So bad day yesterday, good day before that. Plus money's kind of carrying us right now. So I'm not down in the dumps at all. I've had many losing days in my career, but there's been a lot more winning days, fortunately for me. So let's get into the picks for today. I don't like seeing this red on my screen anymore. So let's hop into some good ones. 10-game slate. I'm pumped about it. Let's go. So jumping into Props Madness like we always do to start talking about our plays. It's the best visual player prop tool out there for sure. You're watching this thing, you're like, I got to try this thing out. There's a link in the description down below. 25% off your first month, so you can't really beat that. And it lets them know that I sent you there. And we are going to start off with Anthony Black going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't know why I forgot their name. Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, very, very good defensive scheme. And I'm looking at Anthony Black's threes. Now it's juiced. Minus 136. I totally understand it. I think it could be used as a parlay piece. I think you could do it as a straight bet. But I like his three-pointer line. And I also like his points line. But I just don't think the matchup's as good for the points line. Now let's talk through Anthony Black here today. Obviously been hitting this at a great clip. 75% of games he's gone over this 1.5 3-point line. But it's a 7-point spread. It's actually not that much. And it's the Thunder and their home. So the Thunder home, the Magic are, they haven't been playing extremely well. They don't have Franz Wagner right now, and he's kind of the catalyst of their offense. But Anthony Black gets a huge usage boost in games without Franz Wagner. We can actually see, going to stats, usage rating for the entire season, 2.18. In games without Franz Wagner, goes up almost like 0.2% or 0.02% without Franz Wagner in the lineup. The other thing is his 3-pointers attempted goes from 4.8 to 6.1. So he's getting more than an entire extra 3 when Franz Wagner is not in the lineup. You can also look at his minutes, going to jump up about 3 minutes. So obviously he's getting a huge boost without Franz Wagner in the lineup. And Anthony Black, the second half of the season, has kind of been a diamond in the rough. The Magic, again, have not been playing extremely well this year, but Anthony Black has kind of taken that next step and looked very, very good. Now let's take a look at this matchup. Can Anthony Black score in difficult matchups? He can, and that's why I want to point out his 14.5 points line as well. But we also could just rely on him to make some open threes today. Spot up shooting, they rank 29th here this Thunder team. They're very, very good defensively. They allow open shots. They, are very, very good at switching everything. That's why the Thunder have a good defense. They switch everything. They get over screens, whatever it might be, and they really, really limit pick and roll ball handlers. When there's a pick and roll ball handler, they switch. The guy can't really do much, and if he does drive, they're going to collapse on the paint. That's why they have the great paint defense, and they're going to let these role players hit some open threes. Now, is Anthony Black a role player, especially without Franz Wagner? No, but he doesn't do as much as I would think in the pick and roll ball handling. I assume this number jumps up without Franz Wagner in the lineup. He can do some work in transition. That's also kind of difficult here. So the thing that kind of is the glaring thing to me is his catch and shoot and his spot up ability against this team, because that's what the Thunder are weak against, and that's what they allow. Now, Anthony Black, again, has the higher usage rate without Franz Wagner in the lineup, and he doesn't, is not a huge catch and shoot guy. 21% of his shots are catch and shoot, whereas most of his points are coming at the paint, coming to the rim when he's attacking that. And that could be, what kills us here. But at the same time, if he can't get that going, that's kind of why I like his three-pointers. Once again, if he can't get to the paint, if he can't really score at will, maybe he gets some open jump shots, and that's how he gets his points. So again, we're not asking for too much. It is juiced, minus 136 on FanDuel, but we just need 2 threes to cash here. He's over in 70% of games. In the game, again, without Franz Wagner in the lineup, 3-pointers attempted jumps up to about 6.1 per game. Now let's look at the games that he's shooting 5 to 7 3-pointers, especially without Franz Wagner in the lineup. It wouldn't even matter. He's still over this in a bunch of games. 3-pointers attempted. If he's going to shoot 5+, he's over in 76% of games. 5 to 7 threes without Franz Wagner, over in 71% of games. So we got a great sample size, pretty decent amount of games that Franz hasn't played, 14 of them, and he's over in 10 of those games, even against difficult defenses. Again, 5 to 7 3-pointers in these difficult defensive matchups. Let's just go to opponent rankings and see defensive ratings, challenging matchups here. He's still over in 4 of those 5 games. And when you look at his points line, he's had some really good games in here too. So am I scared of his points line? No, but I think I'll attack it both ways. I like the threes, even though it's juiced. I think that's the better look when you look at this scheme that the Thunder have in terms of their defensive scheme and what they're really good at defending, which is the paint. That makes more sense to me that he could knock down some open threes. But at the same time, they maybe rely on Anthony Black, and Paolo Banchero is still in this lineup. It's not like they're going to be focused in on Anthony Black. They got Paolo to deal with. So maybe Anthony Black can do some damage, but the Thunder have a lot of good guards, a lot of good defensive guards, and a really good defensive scheme. So am I scared of it? A little bit, but what we're seeing here is he's doing really well against these difficult defenses without Franz Wagner in the lineup. The volume goes up, the shots go up. If he's going to get 5 to 7 threes, hopefully knock some of those down. So it goes hand in hand. If he's going to get the points, he'll probably get the threes. So that's what I'm liking. So Anthony Black, I think he could have a good game today. There could be a massive blowout, and that crushes both of them. But I'm looking at his threes, and I'm looking at his points. Yeah, I think you could go to either one. I favor the threes, but at the same time, it's a much, more juice line, minus 136. And I probably should have started with this when talking about Anthony Black, because we talked so much about the OKC defense, but there's a lot of question marks for this Thunder team. First of all, J-Dub's already out, good guard defender. Caruso's already out, good guard defender. AJ Mitchell's already out, or I guess Caruso's doubtful, but probably out. Then you look at Shea, potentially out. Chet, questionable. Hartenstein, questionable. So that great defense might be, a little bit hurt with all these guys out, and they might not be as strong. So Anthony Black getting to the rim might be a little bit easier in that, that guard depth, that guard defense that the OKC Thunder usually run out might be a little bit easier for Anthony Black to score some points. So I'm looking at the threes for sure, and I'm probably going to go to his points too. Moving to play number 2, give me Isaiah Collier for the Utah Jazz to go over his points and assists line at 20.5. Now, obviously, the hit rate for the year does not look great, but the main angle here is going to be Keontae George is out of this game. Without Keontae George, he's over in those 3 games, only a 3-game sample size, but he's played pretty dang well in those games, and they weren't the easiest defensive matchups in the world. Raptors, very good defensive scheme, 7 assists, 19 points in that game. Against the Clippers, 9 assists, 12 points, and against the Clippers, again, 16 points and 10 assists. They lost that game by 17 points too. So he's expected for 30-ish minutes today. I'd probably say 28 plus is almost a lock. It's a 3.5-point spread. They get the Pacers, who are on a back-to-back, by the way. They don't allow a whole bunch of assists, but Isaiah Collier has racked up very many assists against more difficult matchups than the Pacers. And you'll see that even just this season. But this is a guy I looked at last year, especially when Keontae George was in the lineup. When he gets the time in the court, he can get points and assists in a hurry. And considering his points, it's a great matchup for him to get to the rack within 10 feet. Very, very weak defensively, this Pacers team is. And they might have Jay Huff running a little bit more today, too, who's not a very good defensive player. Pick and roll ball handling, free throws, it's a great matchup. Transition, he can score. And again, the assists allowed, they rank 7th, but we'll see in this minutes play that it's not a problem with Collier to go up against some teams that don't allow a whole bunch of assists. So in those games without Keontae George, again, 30 minutes, 29 minutes, and 37 minutes, I think his floor is going to be 28 minutes. So we can go and see games he's played 28 plus minutes this season. And there's been a couple of them, 13 to be exact. He's over in 9 of those games. And in these difficult matchups, we can actually see assists allowed challenging. He's only played 3 of them. He's over in 2 of them. The one game he didn't get there, he still had 9 assists. So the scoring was the problem. And the Pistons, a very, very good defensive scheme. In general, they have a great defensive rating, but they're scoring, for him, I say Collier at the rack, very hard. They defend the paint very, very well. This Pacers team does not. So I'm not too worried about his assists, to be totally honest. If he can score, I think that's just an added boost to this line, because if he can chip in with 12, 13 points and then get 9 assists or whatever, we'll be over this line. And if he can get 15 plus points in this weak matchup, I think he'll crush this line. So Collier, no Keontae George, he's going to get the minutes on the court. Hit rate's great for this. And we took a look at those teams that don't allow a whole bunch of assists. There was only 3 of them. But if we go to defensive rating and we see, take out the bottom half of the league, because this defensive rating is 20th ranked and they're in a back-to-back. Now he's over in 6 of 7 games. The one game he didn't get there was against the Blazers, who I think are better than their defensive rating states sometimes, especially to guards. They don't allow a bunch of threes, whatever it might be. So he's going over this in 28 plus minutes and the defensive ratings that aren't very good. He's going over this very consistently in the minutes I think he should get on the court without Keontae George. So loving Isaiah Collier in the extra spot. Pacers back-to-back situation, like I've said many times. I think they might be a little bit weaker or slower than they typically are, and it's a great spot for Collier to take advantage, score some points, but we also know he can dime up. Moving to the next play, I like Neemias Queta for the Celtics to go over his 10.5 points plus 105 on BetMGM right now. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that Queta shoots 99% of his shots, pretty much 100% of his shots come within 10 feet. The Dallas Mavericks very weak to this, so it's obviously right off the bat a pretty dang good matchup. But you can also see similar players or just positional players, centers, starting centers. A lot of these guys going over their lines. You see Diabate went over his line. They're not crushing their lines, but Claxton, Sharp, Klingon, Rainen, all these guys pretty much going over the lines. The one starter that didn't go over his line was DeAndre Ayton. He shot 4 of 16 in that game, so he just absolutely bummed out. Only played 24 minutes, and that was only the first page. A lot of players going over their lines against this team. So I like that spot, obviously, the glaring thing, one of the reasons I started to look at this. But the next thing I'll point to is the pace. There's a lot of green in this suggested category that Props Madness gives us, and pace is one of those things. It's the top 5 pace in the league right now. And in those matchups, Queta gets up and down the court for sure. 52% of games he's over this, just looking at the pace. Some of these games having some of his best games. Doesn't always get there, but the minutes should be there today. Joe Mazzulla, a guy that plays guys that are playing well, and Queta's always at starting center. So if he comes out there, he can take advantage of the matchup. He's projected for 29 minutes in this game as of right now. Now, if we're taking into account pace once again, and we're looking at games he's seen, let's say 24 plus minutes, now he's over in 2/3 of those games, 66% of games going over this thing. Now, he hasn't played the Mavericks in general, but pretty dang good, to look at this. If you take all that into account, again, the minutes, the pace that we're looking at, and then take into account that this is a weak defense in the paint, again, 71% hit rate, he's taking advantage of these matchups. So liking this 10.5 line, I honestly was looking at this double-double potentially too. It's like a plus 220 or something. I don't think I'll get it for official video pick. It's something I wanted to mention, but really liking this for an official video pick. 10.5 points for Queta. I think you can get it done in a pretty dang good matchup. Now let's talk Bobby Portis here for the Milwaukee Bucks against the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, ton of injuries for this team. No Giannis is the biggest one. No Taurean Prince. No Gary Harris. Bobby Portis finally getting the minutes he was getting most of the time last year. And in the minutes he's getting, 37, 36, 36 minutes. Some of these are blowouts. 28-point loss, still getting 37 minutes or 37 minutes. They got a 3-point game here against the Chicago Bulls. Could potentially stay in this thing, and he's been a rebounding machine, especially without Giannis in the lineup. Just taking a look at without Giannis, the last few games when he's actually getting the time on the court, 39 minutes, 32 minutes. He's getting a ton of time. He can get the boards in a hurry pretty easily. So 9.5 rebounds, minus 119. This is going to be a minutes play. Even just clicking expected, he's expected for 30 to 39 minutes, over in 60% of those games. It's a minus 118 price tag, so it makes me want to say, hey, let's look at his points line. And he's got a pretty good spot to go over, 9.5 points. He's looking at a double-double as well. He's over the 9.5 points line in a bunch. He's got a great matchup to do so. Looking at his double-double line, you can also get some pretty good value going over to OddsJam, minus 113 right now on DraftKings. For some reason, BetMGM has minus 118 over him, 9.5 boards. but minus 135 for his double-double. That doesn't make much sense for me. So I'm taking the minus 118 for his rebounds line, 9.5, and then I'm also taking his minus 113 for the double-double on DraftKings. That's how I'm playing Bobby Portis again. Expected for a whole bunch of time. Should get the rebounds today against this team. They allow a decent amount of rebounds. He's played these guys twice already, and in that much time, head-to-head, let's see what. He played 24 minutes and got 11 rebounds in one of those. Played 20 minutes and had 5 rebounds, so good to see in limited time. He already got over this line. Now he should get as much time as he can handle. Expected for a ton of them, and I like a spot for getting some boards and probably the double-double too. Moving another play or another angle I really like today. It might not make the official recap and official plays, but I know everyone likes Luka Doncic. You like betting on superstars. So I got an angle for Luka, and it's an interesting one, going up against the Brooklyn Nets. Now his 32.5 points line is lower than it has been. You can see the closing line value has typically been 33.5. 32.5 today, and it's probably for good reason going up against the Brooklyn Nets. And their whole defensive scheme, this Brooklyn Nets team, is to take away number one options. They limit pull-ups. That's a number one option type of stat. And they limit pick and roll ball handling, another very big number one player stat for that team. So essentially that means they lock in on those number one players and they say, yeah, pass the ball. We'll let other guys beat us. I don't care if it's at the rim. They're weak to the rim. I don't care if it's a spot-up situation. They're weak to spot-up. They're weak to catch and shoot. So they zone in on those number one guys, which of course would be Luka today. We maybe get Austin Reeves back today, so that could hurt some scoring as well. I don't think, if he does play, he'll be limited anyway. So I'm not putting too much fate into that, but honestly doesn't matter to me if Reeves plays or not. But you can see in these matchups, in these difficult pick and roll ball handling matchups, Luka's hit rate is around 50% still. But if you combo that with the pull-up defense, teams that really lock in on these number one options and make the other shooters beat them in these challenging spots, you can see Luka's only over in 3 of 8 games. Now, the alternative to that is, if you don't want to bet on Luka's under, I understand that. It is a pretty good play, I think, today. The other angle you could attack is in those same matchups. He's over his assist line in a lot of those. 12 assists, 10 assists, 12 assists, 11 assists. In these games that they're not getting there, this is a 12-point win against the Pelicans. So, 13 potential assists, and then 2 games against the Suns, who are really good in this spot and really good defensively so far this year. One of those games they lost by 17. But typically, Luka getting double-digit assists in a lot of these spots. So Luka definitely could look at his double-double, could definitely look at his assist line, which is going to be plus money. I think you get some good plus money on that. And honestly, you could look at his triple-double line as well. He hasn't got it in this matchup yet, but it feels like a Luka triple-double spot, especially if he's not going to be scoring a million points today. So just want to point Luka out. I know he's a favorite player, one of the favorite players. A lot of people like to, go to him, watch him. And that's just my thoughts on him today. And looking farther into it, Luka's definitely going to make the official list here, probably a 0.5 unit play, but over his 9.5 assists, plus 145 right now on Novig, so pretty dang good value. And if you're not a Novig, available in a lot of states, I do have a link in the description down below if you want to check it out. They usually have pretty good prices as well. So Novig plus 145 for over Luka's, pretty much 10 plus assists here. So we talked about a bunch of players, and we're going to go over the recap real quick. But if you aren't on Pickett, you should check it out. It's a free bet tracker for you guys to use. You use code RichPicks when signing up. You get $3 or $100 when you sync your first sports book. If you're on DraftKings, Underdog, PrizePicks, FanDuel, whatever it is, you can sync it to Pickett, and they're going to do all the work for you. You just go on, see how you're doing over the day, the week, the month, the year. Very, very nice looking app as well. You can see if you're beating CLV. You can see what sports you are the best in, what book you're the best in. Pickett, no-brainer to sign up for. Again, free bet tracker for you guys to use. Code RichPicks is going to get you $300 or $100 when you sign up. Absolute no-brainer. Check it out. So it's recap time. We talked about a whole bunch of plays, 4.5 units down on this 10-game slate. We talked about 5 individual players, but some guys were going 2 different ways. Some guys are half-unit plays. So you want to do bankroll management here. So we'll start with Anthony Black. I am going over his 14.5 points. Ton of injury news for the Thunder, but also just Anthony Black, pretty good spot to knock down some threes. And if the Thunder are struggling on defense because they're missing so many guys, he can attack the rim. He can score in other ways. So 0.5 units there. And I'm also attacking his juice 3-point line at 1.5 for 0.5 units as well. So 1 unit on Anthony Black total. Then we got Isaiah Collier. He's a full unit play over his 20.5 points of assists. No Keontae George. Neemias Queta for the Celtics over 10.5 points. This is a plus 105 for 1 unit play. Great matchup to score some points. Great pace to score some points. Bobby Portis over his rebounds at 9.5 and over his double-double. It's almost the exact same line, but getting a little bit better odds here for the double-double. Bobby Portis in a good spot to score some points, and he's getting a ton of time on the court, so he should get that. But I'm just running on both or 0.5 units. You could run either one. I think it's pretty much the same play. Just get the price tag for you. And then Luka Doncic to close things out over 9.5 assists at 0.5 units plus 145. Great value on Novig. So that'll do it for me in this one. I am going to quickly run through the injury report and stuff. So if you want to stay tuned for that, you can. But if you go ahead and do me a favor, like the video, comment something down below. I love reading all your comments. I know it was a bad day yesterday. It's going to be a bounce back spot for us here today, but we also won 7 days in a row before that. So we're not going to win every single day. I'm one of the most transparent people on here. I show my wins, I show my losses, and I know losing days sucks. I hate losing days. When I do all the research and give out the plays, I expect them to win, but I also know, realistically, I'm not going to win every single play. There's variance, and you can really only look for a good read and own up to your losses when it happens, which that will. So if bad plays happen, just know that I'm pissed off just as much as you guys, maybe even more pissed off. So thank you guys for watching. Let's hop into the injury news real quick. We'll run through it as fast as possible because there's a lot of games and there's a lot of injuries like always. So jumping over to RotoWire, this is where I got all my projected minutes and everything. There's a link in the description down below if you want to check RotoWire out, get those projected minutes, get those on-off court stats. They are the best in the business for that. And we'll start with the first game of the night, Denver and Detroit. We're just going to mention the main injuries here. No Aaron Gordon in this thing. Nikola Jokic is back. His minutes have been trending upwards as well. As of right now, projected for 31 minutes. Jamal Murray, Peyton Watson getting as much time as they can handle. Peyton Watson obviously had a huge explosion when Jokic was out, so we'll see what he can bring without those guys. And then you got the bench players for their projected minutes as well. Then we got the Detroit Pistons, 4-point favorites here. I would honestly take them to cover this at home. Pretty much no injuries for the Pistons. The trade deadline is looming, so just keep that in mind. A trade could happen at any moment and really shake things up. But yeah, Cade's going to get as much time as he can handle. Toby, Jalen Duren. Honestly, Toby I was looking at again because I saw a 19.5 PRA line. I'd attack that if you were looking into him. But that's what we got going on for this first game. Then we got Utah and Indiana. Injury news, obviously, Keontae George. We talked all about Isaiah Collier, but we're going to get no Nurkic. We have no Walker Kessler this entire year. Here's the projected minutes as of right now. Collier projected for the second most minutes on the court for this team, which is why I really like it. Then you got Ace Bailey getting more time, but Laurie should be out there. He should be ready to go. He should get a whole bunch of minutes. Indiana side of things, I keep looking at Jay Huff, but I can't trust his minutes. He's projected for 18, but he's had some games where he's getting like 5 minutes. But I really wanted to look at his 10.5 points. I think he's got a great spot to knock down some threes as well. But we know this team's on a back-to-back, so keep an eye on them for someone to maybe pop up with the injury report later in the day. New York Knicks versus the Washington Wizards, 13.5-point spread. Alex Sarr, to be totally honest, was looking at his unders again, but it's at 17.5. I think it's a little bit too low for me. This team could get knocked out or blown out. They're at home, though, so maybe they keep it close. Very hard team to try to attack because, most of their guys are now starting to get normal minutes, but they also lose a lot of games by a lot. So if they're losing them by the fourth quarter, not a lot of these guys are going to get more than 30 minutes. With a 13.5-point spread, it's hard to go there. Trae Young, not going to make his debut just yet. And we got some other, slight injuries. Marvin Bagley probably going to play, but he might not even see minutes. New York Knicks side of things, we got no Mitchell Robinson, so you always want to look at a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns to grab some boards, especially in a spot like this. Just be weary of the blowout potential, 13.5-point spread, and Towns' rebound line is probably pretty high, but we know he can gobble them up, leading the league in rebounds this year. Then we got the Hawks and the Miami Heat, 3.5-point spread. Dyson Daniels, I was looking at his under assists for some plus money, but he's been pretty consistent at getting that line, so I stayed away from it. Okongwu going to be out of this game. Porzingis is questionable here, so we'll see if he plays. If he does, projected for not too many minutes, but we know their top three guys, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson. Those are the guys that are going to be consistently getting the time. The other guy's going to have to play themselves into more spots. CJ McCollum coming off the bench for this team now. Miami side of things, we got no Tyler Hero still. Terry Rozier actually won his grievance thing for the NBA and is going to get paid his salary this season. I don't know if that means any sort of return for him. I doubt it. I thought he was still in jail, but as of right now, going to be out for Tyler Hero or for Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero. Powell is a question mark. That's a big news thing. We want to see if he's playing. Very big, high usage player. And a 3.5-point spread. Pelle Larsen's also looked really good for this team. Lakers and the Brooklyn Nets. We talked about Luka. I don't love his scoring potential here, but if I'm going to go to his over assists, I honestly don't want to go to his under in points. They don't really correlate too well because Luka, if he's going to have a big game, he's going to have a big game. I think you could look at his under points. I think you could look at his over assists. I just wouldn't put him in the same slip. Austin Reeves questionable. We'll see if he returns, has not played in a while. And that's pretty much it for the injury news for them. Here's what we got for the projected minutes. You can pause the thing if you want to see it. Then we got the Brooklyn Nets side of things. Pretty much fully healthy. We'll see Clowney probably back. He is probable right now. MPJ going to get as much time and as many shots as he wants in this team. Another angle I was looking at here was actually Rui Hachimura to knock down some threes. Kind of goes hand in hand with the Luka Doncic assists. And I think he's got a pretty good spot to knock down some threes. Honestly, really any of these spot-up shooters to get some threes could be a good look. Boston and Dallas, we talked about Neemias Queta to go over his line. Obviously, no Jason Tatum. This is what we got for projected minutes in this one. Just be careful. 6.5 point spread. Dallas is home, though, so maybe they keep it close. Then for the Dallas side of things, Cooper Flagg, again, kind of been handed the keys, kind of in that point guard role. Jason Kidd has literally just got fined because he went off on the reporters for being like, why is Cooper Flagg a point guard right now? But he's been hooping. He's been dominating. We attacked one of his unders against the Rockets, and he cooked us. So Cooper Flagg, really high usage player the last few games. He'd probably be the guy that you might want to look at. But again, the Celtics are in a lot of blowout situations. Typically, they're the ones winning by a whole lot. But this one could stay close. 6.5 point spread. Obviously, no to AD. Obviously, no Kyrie. And PJ Washington going to be out in this one too. Chicago and Milwaukee. A whole bunch of injury news for this team. Josh Giddey's out. Trey Jones is out. That just means a whole lot more opportunities for Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu, the two other guards on this team. Vucevic, Buzelis, this is a team that could definitely be active at the trade deadline. So again, that's coming up Tuesday right now. Trade deadline's Thursday. A trade could happen at any moment, so just keep that in mind. Milwaukee side of things, we attacked Bobby Portis. Miles Turner's going to be in there at the center spot, but Bobby Portis is definitely the best rebounder on this squad. Here's the projected minutes for them. Obviously, the injury news we talked about when talking about Bobby Portis. No Giannis, no Gary Harris, no KPJ. So the projected minutes for a lot of these guys really rising. And Ryan Rollins has been a pretty good stud in these games. Kyle Kuzma projected for a lot of minutes too. Then the last three games on the slate, the later games, Orlando and OKC. OKC is favored by 6.5. A lot of injury news. Again, we're attacking Anthony Black in this game for the Orlando Magic. No Franz Wagner. Here's the projected minutes for these guys. Desmond Bane, Paolo, Black, all going to get extended run here. And then for the Thunder side of things, the projected minutes aren't going to mean much when we don't know exactly who's playing. Hartenstein did just come back from an injury. He's questionable. If he does play, not going to get as many minutes as he typically does. We'll see if Chet plays. Shea obviously is a big question mark here. And then J-Dub is already out. AJ Mitchell's already out. And Caruso's doubtful, so probably won't play in this one. Ton of injuries for OKC side of things, which makes me like the Black angle a little bit more. Philadelphia and the Golden State Warriors, we're probably not getting Embiid. He's doubtful. Hasn't played a back-to-back since like 2024. So Tyrese Maxey could have all the keys once again without Paul George, without a guy like Embiid as well. Not going to play in this one. So Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre is going to get a huge boost in usage and minutes and shots. Same with VJ Edgecombe. Dominic Barlow just absolutely went off last game. They're on a back-to-back. So again, I just mentioned that, but just keep that in mind. A guy like Dominic Barlow could be one of those guys that, definitely probably won't come under the injury report, but also could be like, oh, dang, I just went off and I'm not back-to-back. Here we go again. Let me get my shots up. Golden State Warriors side of things, ton of injuries as well. Steph Curry's going to be out. Seth Curry's going to be out. Moses Moody probable. Kuminga's still out. We're worried about that trade. Obviously, no Jimmy Butler. So here's the projected minutes for them. Again, I've said it time and time again. A guy like Brandon Bajemski, I think, is going to be a pretty good rebounding spot here. We'll see if Moses Moody plays. They're pretty much the only guys I can trust. Maybe DeAnthony Melton in some extended roles, and maybe Quentin Post if he can get some time in the court to knock down some threes against Philadelphia. Finally, 11 p.m. slot Eastern time, Phoenix and Portland. No Devin Booker. We see this team continue to win somehow. Grayson Allen and Dylan Brooks going to get as many shots as they can handle on this squad. Mark Williams, I usually look at his unders, potentially looking at his over today. I think it's at 11.5 points, but just something I was looking at. And then for the Portland side of things, we got no Scoot probably. He's been out forever. Probably no Denny Advia, huge usage player here. And then Drew Holiday, also a question mark. So if all those guys don't play, Shaden Sharp's going to get as many shots as he can get. Donovan Clingan should get the time in the court. And some guys off the bench. We'll see what happens with them, but no real good reads there. So that will do it for this one. We just cooked through the injury report. Again, Tuesday, February 3rd. Plenty of games today. A lot of angles that I'm really liking. I'd like to see some injury news come out and then really attack the full slate. But if you want access to all of my plays, there is a link in the description down below for my Discord community. You can get in there. I'm running 50% off my first month, so it's like $10 for your first month. And it's a really fun community aspect as well. as you know, along with getting my plays as well. We got some seasoned chefs in there. You get their plays. We have a lot of fun in there. We celebrate our wins together. We complain about players when they sell our slips. It's a non-toxic community, really, really fun. And definitely check us out if you want to. Also check out Pickit, bet tracker, free bet tracker for you guys to use. Sign up using code RichPicks, $3 or $100, absolute no-brainer. And also check out Props Madness. That was a tool I was using all throughout the video. Really fun to use, really detailed, and a lot of filters to use. And if you want to check that out, link in the description down below for your discount. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all of you. Again, would really appreciate if you liked it, if you comment something. It helps the algorithm push my video out a little bit more. And of course, if you're new around here, subscribe, especially if you got to this point in the video. Good luck with all your plays. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.